Candidly, I never thought I would be one of the women who would get breast cancer.
37 minutes after, well, all of Hollywood is shaken right now, and it has nothing to do with Mother Nature.
Did you ever feel like you lost control of an interview?
No, come on, Joni.
Come on, Jasper. I ain't doing this alone.
When I was in my senior year in college, a family friend came to dinner at our house one night, and when the conversation turned to, what are you going to do, when you graduate, Joan? He said, I think you should consider television news. It was not really something that a young female would think about in those days because there were maybe a handful of women on air.
No prize for peace.
Fast becoming the most watchable news on television.
I became Sacramento's first weather girl, and then consumer reporter, and eventually anchor. And it all happened in the span of 2 short years because they were looking to get women on air. And I got an offer then to go to New York City to be a reporter and weekend anchor at WABC, the ABC affiliate in New York.
Brooklyn seemed to be hit the hardest today. At one point,
I got the call from my agent that I had been made the offer to do Good Morning America. And 30 minutes later, I got a call from my gynecologist telling me I was pregnant with my first child.
Good Morning America.
Delight and dilemma, like, how is this going to work?
She was the first woman on television to share 3 pregnancies.
And one reporter after another, from Time to Newsweek to Good Housekeeping to the New York Times, that's all they really wanted to talk about because a corporation was allowing a woman to return to work, a breastfeeding mom, and bring her baby to work with her. But I then started getting boxes of mail from women all over the country saying, we need help like that, but we don't have access to any kind of benefits. That kind of lit a fire in me and kind of sent me on this path of being a women's advocate.
And I've got over here the Vanna White doll. There we go. See? There you go.
Well, I'll tell you something about Charlie. He used to say, we're like an old married couple. We can finish each other's sentences.
From our Good Morning America family to yours.
Have a happy and healthy new year.
But we don't have sex. So when he was finally named co-host, he came into my office and he said, I will never take a story away from you. Let's show America that a man and a woman can work together 50-50, and he lived up to it every day that I worked with him after that.
Why don't you introduce the last newscast?
I gotta tell you.
All right, time now to go to the news.
That 3:30 alarm clock.
You hear that? That's how you wake up every day?
I hate that sound.
Week in and week out for almost 20 years. You do kind of get used to it.
The number 1 Joan Lunden plan, sleep until the middle of 1999. There you go.
It's good to see you.
Great to see you, Joni. What is it that you want to share with people?
I heard those words that every woman fears and never wants to hear.
Candidly, I never thought I would be one of the women who would get breast cancer.
I'm a health advocate. I'm all over America talking to women saying make sure that you get all of your checkups all the time.
And the fact that I didn't understand the significance of dense breast tissue kind of just lit a fire in me and sent me on this mission to say, here I am, a journalist, and how could I have been so uneducated about something so incredibly important? I took a camera into every single appointment with me, to every chemo session, to every radiation session in the hospital to get my port. Then when I got to the very end of my therapy, I had gone on a show, and a lot of the questions were, gee, now that you're coming to the end of your treatment, how are you dealing with the fear of recurrence? I wanted to write them all back. I hadn't even thought of it until you mentioned it. There was a time when no one talked about breast cancer. I've always loved the quote that there are 2 great days in our life. The day we're born and the day we discover why. And, I may not have ended up where I thought I was going to go, being a doctor, but I probably ended up where I needed to be. So those are the things that, when you fight a life-challenging battle, that you contemplate. And maybe you would never have contemplated them otherwise. But when you contemplate those things, it sure does focus you in what you want to do with the rest of your life.
We're all in this together, so we're going to stick with you, and we hope you'll stick with us. We promise to keep you informed, inspired, and thus in control.